Good morning, good morning. Welcome. This is the liminal rope warm-up. I'll be teaching a liminal rope and fabric workshop over the weekend. Details in the caption if you're watching this currently and not in the future. This is the warm-up we'll be doing. This is the warm-up I like to do for floor-based aerial work, aerial dance work, dancing on the floor with my rope. Start by just walking around your space. I have my coffee. And notice how your feet are interacting with the floor. See how your body feels with each step. I don't want to tell you today what you might feel in this instance. I just want you to drop in, listen, and notice. You're welcome to reach and stretch. Every day is a different body. Be interested, be curious, be non-judgmental with yourself, and just see what you're working with today. Where do you feel space? Where do you feel like you would like more of it? And then let's introduce some bounces and some bobs here. You can be on one foot. You can be on both feet on your toes. You can bend your knees. Just take a minute to bounce. Shake out your fascia. Listen to the squeaks of my floor in my old farmhouse. Take your last sip of coffee and find your way to the floor. We just want to be in an easy seat. Your legs don't have to be straight. If you want something to sit on, like a little bolster or a blanket, you're welcome to grab that. And let's just start with our eyes open by looking side to side. You can make this as big or as small as you like. If you'd like to twist more. I like to wring out my spine in the morning and really twist. Just make sure that you're looking around your space. We're going to take some cat-cows here in the seated position, a little non-traditional. At the base of our spine, we have what we call a tailbone, pointing down-ish. I want you to initiate your movements from the tailbone today. So we're doing a little ripple up our spine. So from however we're sitting, we'll start to point that tailbone forwards at the wall in front of us, or whatever is in front of us. And then curving into our lower back and rounding up our spine vertebra by vertebra. I like to hold my lower legs here and really hang and push into the back space of my body. Shoulder blades come apart and spread. If you have energy in your legs, you can get a little traction on your arms and drop your head looking down. Your throat is stacked over your pelvis here. And then to come up, let's start to point that tailbone down at the floor. And maybe even what feels like behind us, even though it curves forwards, you'll feel a little roll onto your sit bones. And then start stacking your spine like a curvy stack of books, one vertebra at a time, all the way up. The head comes last. At the top, I will pull with my arms, chest through, and look up. If it feels okay for you, you don't get dizzy, you can even drop your head back and really arch. Let's take a handful, 3 to 5 cat-cows. From our arching position, we'll again lead with the tailbone. Vertebra by vertebra. Push into that back space. Spread your shoulder blades apart. Feel some traction in your armpits. And roll up. At the top, my shoulder blades are coming together and pulling my chest through the middle. Take one more. When you do this on your own, this warm-up, you can do as many of these as you like. If you remember the order, or just pause the video. Sit up nice and tall on your sit bones, and we're going to make some circles with our sternum moving into our thoracic spine. So I like to think that my sternum, my breastplate, is holding a pencil, and I'm drawing a circle on the floor underneath me. I again like to hang off of my arms, holding my ankles or my calves, and make a little circle. These again can be as big or small as you like. You can be very focused on your thoracic spine here, or you can make them a little bit bigger, feeling it in your obliques and rocking sit bone to sit bone. Giving your pelvis a little massage there, whichever feels good. Let's reverse. Next, we'll roll down to our backs. You're welcome to hold behind your thighs here to achieve this roll down. Or if you're familiar with roll downs, you practice Pilates, you're welcome to reach forward. Let's take a breath and start to melt, rounding through our back space. And find the floor one vertebra at a time. We're in an ab curl, and our head comes down last. Reach your arms and legs long for a big stretch. Yawn, sigh. Your arms can be wherever they're comfortable for now. We're just going to do some gentle leg swings, loosen up the hips. So one of my legs will swing across my body or drag glide on the floor into a kick and a twist, and then it will come back down and the other leg can swing. Be gentle with yourself. These don't need to be really strict and rigorous kicks this early in the morning. You can rock your knees side to side, and we're going to go into some easy twists here. So put your arms up in a high V, not directly overhead and not out like a T, somewhere in the middle where it's comfortable. My hand closest to the camera is going to be the one I start with today. I'm going to imagine a heavy rock is in that hand, gluing it down to the ground. And that same side foot is going to reach across my body. This is borrowed from the practice I train with my coach, Vayu. And the cues from that program are that you're imagining that you have a partner in bed with you and your toes are really cold. And you just want to gently reach over there without coming off your back and touch them with your cold toes. Hi, baby cat. This is Mala. So I'm actively reaching with that top leg, but I'm trying to keep my same side shoulder down so that heavy rock is in my hand. Here, let's find 2 points in our armpit. We'll breathe in, expanding those points, reaching, and exhale, softening through our chest. Baby cat's being my rock. To come back to our backs, I'm going to imagine that all of my organs have gotten heavy into my lower back. And they're pulling me back onto the floor, dragging my leg back underneath me. Let's go the other way. Now my far hand from the camera is holding a big rock in it, so it doesn't come up, my shoulder doesn't come up. My other side partner gets cold toes now. Reach. And again, find 2 points in your armpit. When you inhale, spread those points away from one another. And when you exhale, soften your ribs and melt. A little bit of active traction through the lats here. You might feel this in your back also. And again, the organs are heavy to bring us back. Let's do one more easy twist in each direction. So I'll go back the first way. Closest leg to camera has the cold toes and reaches across my body. And melt back from the organs. Last one, reach. And melt. Shake it out. We're going to move on to a variation of Big X. If you've ever done any dance or theater, you might know Big X. I'm making a Big X with my body. Star shape here, arms and legs reaching away from one another. And then I'll start with my far side, arm and leg. We're going to continue to reach away from one another, up and down, out of my spine, so it starts to curve me towards the close side of my body. I'm going to keep reaching and curving as flat as I can. And then my close to y'all, arm and leg, are coming closer together, And I'll start to roll, stacking my hips and shoulders. You can come to a little ball. And then we'll expand to the X again. Top arm and leg now. Reach long away from each other. Reach into extension, arching on that side of your body. And that pulls you back onto your back. Now, close arm and leg are reaching. Side bending away from the screen. And curling into a ball. Top arm and leg reach away from one another, reach behind you into extension of the hip flexion of the shoulder. And back to our X. Let's do one more in each direction. Elongate to compress. Roll. Expand. Elongate to compress on the other side and roll. Last time we'll expand and reach and roll onto our back. I have a helper today, all day. Make sure you're comfortable laying on your back. We're going to do a small, gentle core series. So if you need a little towel in the small of your back or under your sacrum, if there's discomfort on a hard floor, go ahead and get whatever you need to be on your back for 3 different phrases. If it's comfortable, we'll be on our backs with our knees bent and our feet flat, as if to do sit-ups, but we won't be doing that today. And let's just start with some belly breathing. If this is new for you, sometimes it's helpful to put a hand on your belly for some proprioceptive feedback. You can put one hand on your chest as well, both hands on your belly. But we want to inflate our belly like a balloon when we inhale. Our lungs are pressing down. They're expanding our organs up and out. And then as we exhale, our lungs travel up, our pelvic floor chases, and our navel drops. Keep belly breathing here. Expand like a balloon. Squeeze every last bit of breath out. And notice how you feel. Some sensations you might notice are a dropping of the navel, a flattening of the belly. You might feel your hip bones magnetizing, being pulled towards each other. Some coaches call this the corset muscle that we're targeting right now, our transverse abdominis, our deepest abdominal layer. You might feel your lower back trying to reach to the floor as everything tightens and compresses. It's fine, but it's not the goal, so don't be pushing into your feet to overly tuck your pelvis. We want to be pretty laxed here. On the next round of exhale, feeling that engagement, that tightening through the front of your belly, see if you can keep just a light engagement, but keep breathing. So now you should feel your rib cage expanding, your ribs separating from one another. You might feel a stretch in your upper back. And exhale. We're going to do a couple of things from this engaged place. The first is the abdominal march. So we'll always start from breath. Inhale, exhale, drop that navel. We want that flatness throughout. You have the option here of keeping your shoulders on the ground, or if you would like to take a little bit of an ab curl, you can. Thinking of your ribs funneling down to your pelvis. We're not lifting with our neck. As long as you don't develop a mountain range down the middle of your stomach. That means your six-pack is overworking and trying to do everything. If that happens, set everything back down, come back to breath, and try again. From here, either shoulders up or down. Let's bring our knees over our hips so our shins make a tabletop. We're bent 90 degrees at the knee, and that angle never gets smaller. We're going to tap alternating toes on the ground in a reaching action. So I'm not kicking my butt, closing the angle of my knees. I'm reaching the toe down. The angle of the knee stays the same, going into just the slightest bit of extension. Aiming towards extension at the hip, and keep alternating. I like to reach on the exhale. That really enforces the engagement of the transverse abdominis. If it feels too easy, definitely take the ab curl, but make sure that your six-pack isn't doing all the work. It's nice and laid down. It is a little bit engaged, but it's not taking over. If it's still too easy, feel free to reach a little bit longer into extension for a heel tap. But again, we don't want to lose the engagement of the transverse. If there's a clicking in your hip or an arching in your back, make it a little bit smaller again. You can kind of split the difference here, where you're going for a toe tap but reaching a little bit longer. We don't want to be straining in our lower back. When you've taken about 5 on each side, set your feet down, wiggle out your pelvis. Tell your hip flexors to relax again. They're probably really on. The next thing we'll do is a variation of a tuck and hollow. I think this is a little bit more aerial specific, but there's many ways of doing this exercise. So for today, you can keep your shoulders down again, or go to your slight ab curl. I'm always starting from breath. Find your tabletop. For this version of the tuck and hollow, the knees will come up to your chest to start, and your hands will reach down by your sides. So you're in a nice tight ball. We'll inhale, and on the exhale, reach your hands and feet away from one another into a hollow body. Inhale, tuck. Exhale, reach. Let's take 3 more. Make sure your back isn't super, super arching. Keep exhaling to have that transverse abdominis engagement. If it feels too challenging to expand everything, I'd prefer for today that you keep the toes low, but just don't go all the way to straight legs, rather than pointing your feet higher at the ceiling. It's very easy here to let go of the ab engagement and sit in our hip flexors. Find that engagement. Keep the toes low and reach, but just don't straighten your knees all the way. And you should feel where your hip flexors are trying to pull on your pelvis and your abs are stabilizing it. That's the point of this exercise. When you've done 5, set it down, shake it out. We'll do one more thing, the hollow body rock. Some of y'all might want a mat for this if the floor is very hard, and you know, some of us have really ridgy spines. It's not super comfortable. So get whatever you need. And we're building on every layer. So starting with breath, finding our tuck. For this one, the shoulders do need to be up off the mat, so if that's uncomfortable, just take another round of tuck and hollows. If your hollow body was comfortable, we'll inhale, exhale, find our hollow body, and keeping our dish shape, we're going to take rocks here. When you do this, try to keep your arms by your ears so they're not propelling you with momentum from an arm swing, but you're using core engagements. Set your feet down, rock out your hips, and let's take another big stretch, arms and legs away from one another. We're going to be rolling back up to seated, but we'll do this through 3, what I just call boat roll-ups. We'll roll up to a boat position and then stretch in that balanced position. You're again welcome to bend your knees and reach behind your thighs to give a little bit of an assist. Or you can do a full roll-up, starting with the legs long. I like to inhale my arms up to the ceiling. And then as I exhale, I'm thinking of curling through my front core. Once I've started to sit up, I'll let my legs float and find my boat, and then reach and roll back down. This is pretty free form, but shouldn't be any kind of like fast sit up or like a hup. If you have lower back discomfort or pain, do hold behind your thighs. Or just skip this all together and join us when we're all seated, whatever feels good for you. We'll do 2 more. And the last one will stay up. And set your legs down for an easy straddle. This doesn't need to be a big straddle. We're going to get into our psoas a little bit. Place your hands behind you, fingers away, and ground your heels as if you're sitting in the sand. Really, toes up to the ceiling, heels pushing into the floor. This is a variation of the 90-90 windshield wiper legs, whatever you want to call these. But to target our SI and our psoas, one leg, this one, will stay in what's referred to as internal rotation. Think of it as neutral, technically internal. We're not going to drop it. It's going to stay knee up, toes up to the ceiling. The other leg, the one closest to y'all, is going to be my working leg. I'm going to envision my hip bone right here leading this action. So my hip will close. You're not going to get a ton of movement here. It's energetic thinking. Your hip will close. That brings the knee in. And then I'll think of my sacrum at the base of my spine, pushing forward through my pelvis, and that drives my knee forward. Let it twist up your spine the way that it wants, but keep that far leg in internal rotation. Then you might feel something in your SI. Remember those heavy organs from easy twist? Heavy organs curling to pull that leg back. Nice. Let's try the other side. The point of my hip closes and moves the leg. Internal. And then my sacrum is going to push forward. And that drives my femur forward. My knee is tracking. And I'm allowing it to arch through my back. And melt back. Let's do one more on each side. Now we'll do something I just call a floor lunge, but I probably call many things a floor lunge. From our easy straddle, I'm going to swipe across and twist all the way back. My front leg can bend and come back to center. Swipe. You're welcome to stick with this variation. If you want a little bit more stretch in your hips, the arm that's swiping across, actually leave it on your back thigh as you start to twist, and then let it turn and reach. A little bit of traction in your hip. Let's take one more, however you like. And sit up on your sit bones in an easy straddle. We're going to take some good mornings here. You're welcome to have your fingertips in front of you. You're welcome to have your arms, hands behind your head. Or for the most body weight, you can extend your arms like a handstand. We'll reach up out of our pelvis, reach forward as far as we can reach, and then come down to the floor. Now, push through your heels, reach forward to come back up. Let's take a few more here. 4 more. Reaching up and out, and to come up, reach out and up. On this last one, you're totally welcome to round your back a little bit here. I always like to snake in my straddles. I always reach as far as I can. And I push my feet into the floor to get a little bit of activation in my inner thighs. We'll take some side bends, but let's make them aerial specific. My hand closest to y'all will start. Reach it up overhead. Turn the palm away, thumb to the front. Keep reaching up out of your pelvis. And then I'll go to the opposite leg. Whichever arm I'm traveling towards reaches forward and slide. Big side bend here. If you're able to reach your foot, You can reach for it. I like to cup over my toes and then press through my toes to really stretch even deeper all the way down through my QL and obliques. Bottom hand is reaching forward. And I'm trying to twist open to look under my armpit at the ceiling. If you want to challenge here, you can start to bend the opposite leg and try lifting it up to the ceiling. Bend it down like a passe and straighten back out. Take one more good twist. Reach up to come out. Other side, reach up, big shrug, palm away, and start to side bend, looking under the armpit, trying to find the ceiling. This is like your back balance or your flag, where we're side bent but looking under the armpit. If you want to do the leg lift, this bottom hand is really pushing into the floor. As you bend the leg, lift it up without falling over on your back. Bend it back down and extend. We want to come onto our stomachs. If you love your middle splits, you can roll through to your stomach here. If you don't, you can swipe your legs together to one side and roll over. However you want to come onto your stomach to a prone position, roll over to your stomach. And we'll begin with some shoulder windmills. Even though I have a little microphone today, you might not hear me when I go face down. But we'll begin with our arms out in a T. One arm windmills down to the small of our back, palm up, and the other up to the back of our head, palm down. And then we'll alternate. We'll take 5 on each side. Begin with your arms in the T. Float them. And then windmill. One arm comes up and one down. Trying to keep my elbows high, my arms high. Allowing them to rotate. 4 more. 3. 2. And last round. We're going to work a little bit of hip extension here. You're welcome to lay your head completely flat. You're welcome to be in a little bit of a cobra, as long as that's fine on your back. And let's bend one knee, toes up to the ceiling, and we'll just lift for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And my hip bone is staying down. I'm not trying to be too much in my lower back here. I'm trying to really target my glutes. So the hip stays down, I'm not twisting. My hips are staying pretty neutral. So it's not a big leg lift. And the toes go to the ceiling. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's also do straight legs. Back to the first side. Really think of engaging that quad, yawning the back of your kneecap open. Sometimes here you might feel your knee even lift off the ground as you engage that quad. Just depends on your mobility and anatomy at your knee. But really, really straighten that leg, yawn the back of the knee open, and then lift from the inner thigh. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sometimes when we tell people to lift from the heel, even though that helps me quite a bit, we have a tendency of bending the knee on the lift, and this starts to happen. So if that's you, think about really extending out, reaching the toes far away, but then there's a string pulling your inner thigh up to the ceiling. That also helps keep you nice and parallel. 10 on the other side. We're going to move into some cobra floats, as I call these. You've probably done these with me before if you've ever done any flexibility training, mindful bending. So for this exercise, we'll begin prone, activating my shoulder blades towards each other and thinking of them sliding down my back. I'll lift my cobra actively as high as I can. Then you get to place your hands and push into your passive range. On the way down, go slow and try to find how soon you can go fingertips and float and lower all the way down. 4 more. Active up, passive up, down to your active range and all the way down. We're going to move into the last section of our warm-up. This is a little bit of a plank variation series, so we will be hands on the floor if that feels okay. For aerial specifically, I don't love the knuckles variation. So if having your hands on the mat in a plank is uncomfortable, I recommend rolling the edge of a towel or a yoga mat up to elevate the heels of your hands. Decrease the angle at your wrist a bit. That can help. Because for aerial, we're always closing, we're gripping. I think it's important to work on our extension as well. Also, anytime your hands are on the floor, do think of pressing all 5 fingers into the floor, like a little gecko. So let's push to a tabletop, hands and knees. And the first thing we'll do is we'll push to pounce. I foolishly wore socks today, so we'll see if this works. But stacking my shoulders over my wrists, my hips over my knees. I'll tuck my toes. Start with breath to lift the navel. And my head is pressing up like the headrest in a car. I'm trying to find it with my head. From here, I'm going to push forward. You won't see my hands move, but the energy is this way, sliding forward. And if I push into the floor, down and then forward enough, I should be able to float my knees. So this action is not happening from me lifting through my hips or lifting my butt up. I'm tucking my toes and I'm pushing my hands forward to push my hips back and float my knees. This is a push to pounce. Let's do 3 more. Really great at activating your serratus, these muscles right here. We use them a lot to stabilize the shoulder. We use them for inversions. If you're in socks, you might slide backwards. Like me there, that's fine. For this next exercise, you can do any plank of choice. For today, I don't care if you call this a plank, this a plank, or this a plank. Long plank, knee plank, tabletop, whichever variation you like. We're going to go back to thinking about our breastplate or our sternum. From your plank of choice, armpits are drawing down to your hips. Push the floor away. Lift the navel. We're going to drop our sternum down in between our shoulders and push the floor away. Let's take 9 more. Sit your knees down. Feel free to circle your wrists and take a rest. We'll do 2 more things. Next, we'll do the Macarena, or the plank tap. Again, plank of choice, and we'll tap opposite shoulders. For today, let's just do 10 total. If you're going to be doing a long plank with straight legs, take the legs just a little bit wider for stability. We don't want our hips to drop here, so I'll push the floor away a lot. Find breath, squeeze your booty. Tap opposite shoulders. Walk your feet back together a little bit. Press to a downward dog. Triangle plank. Hips are high. Pushing down to open your armpits. Let's push the floor away like we're in a handstand, trying to get our biceps, deltoids to our ears. And sink down. 9 more. Downward dog shrugs. Push the floor forward to walk your hands back to your feet. Bend your knees as much as you want or need. And just hang here. Your hands can be on the floor. If you want a little bit more weight, you can hold opposite shoulders. Sway a little bit. Decompress your lower back. I like to take some bounces here. And then we'll roll up today so your knees can stay bent. Head is heavy. And again, I'm thinking of stacking my vertebra one on top of the other, like a curvy stack of books. Head rolls up last. Reach up for one last big stretch. Yawn. And shake it out. Thank you for warming up with me today for liminal. If you're doing aerial dance, you don't need your shoulders to be super warm. You're not doing rigorous dynamic work. This is a fine warm-up. If I'm training aerial acrobatics, aerial, then I like to do this as a part of my warm-up before all my PT and muscle activations. Take any part of it that you like and use it however you wish. If you come to liminal rope on Sunday, this is what we'll be working through. Perhaps a variation, but very close to this. Sometimes if you have a big day of sitting at the computer, it's really nice to spend 20 or 30 minutes doing this as your computer warm-up too. Make your body feel good before you have to sit all day. I'm still shaking it out. See how different you feel now after giving yourself some attention, a nice big somatic check-in this morning. Wonderful. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I hope I see you Sunday.